Hello. How's it
Hey,
going?
Helena.
Hi.
Okay, so Helena, I have a matter that I need to take up with you. It's kind
Okay.
of early, but it's about natural supplements.
Okay.
So yeah, you know how we have been asking you about supplements over the last several meetings, right? And
Mhm.
you've been basically telling us that you do not recommend supplements and that your preference is herbal tinctures, or teas, and oxymels, right?
All right. And that's correct. In the program, that's what I use.
Right. And now I hear that you have so-called transitional versions of your programs where you actually do allow supplements. How can that be?
Um,
Yeah, I actually had the same question. Do you recommend supplements or are you against them? I think Helen is busted.
Definitely busted. If you feel that supplements is not the right thing, how can you still recommend them? I mean, recommend them in some so-called versions. You better tell us how you really feel about supplements.
sure. Yes, I'll be happy to. Actually, a very good question. Number one, I want to call to your attention the difference between allow and recommend. So kind of keep this in mind. But before I jump to the explanation, let me ask you, Caroline, you've been in a group for a while now, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And you've been learning about the principles of the program, such as the diet change, a small lifestyle adjustment, excluding conventional salt and sugar, correct?
Yes, these are the principles, if I'm not mistaken. I like the idea that we do not have to exclude all salt and sugar. By the way, just the conventional version.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it would have been very difficult.
Yes, that's right. So that's a good summary of the program. So we don't exclude things. We kind of make wise substitutions, which I'm not going to explain right now. There are other videos on that and plenty of. So let's stay to the subject. So Caroline, you've been in the program. You've learned those principles, what you need to do. So let me ask you this. Have you eliminated all conventional salt and sugar?
No, not yet.
And why is that?
Well, I guess because change is hard for me.
Okay, yes, change is hard. Even though there's small changes, we don't realize how much of a change actually change is. So how about you, Laura? Have you switched from conventional salt and sugar?
No, not yet. I must admit it. It proved to be a lot more difficult than I expected. I
Mhm.
can't imagine what it would be like if it was all salt and sugar. I don't know how people do that. Seriously.
Uh-huh. So what about the diet change? Are you eating all organic vegetables by now?
No, I guess I'm a bit behind on that as well.
Yes, see, ladies, change is difficult. So even though, like Laura said, there are some diets that tell you to go, cold turkey, it's like, hey, eliminate all salt and sugar. And then what happens? People start cheating on a diet and then complain that they can't stick with it. And that kind of all becomes their fault because they can't stick with the diet, which my philosophical approach to those things are if I told you to turn into a butterfly, that's actually from Le Petit Prince. It's a philosophical writing by Saint Exupéry. He's a famous author, but that's kind of a very good point there that I use through life. If I told you to turn into a butterfly and you disobeyed me, whose fault is it going to be? Yours or mine? The answer is mine, right? If I tell you to do something you can't do and you disobey me, it's my fault. So if I tell you to eliminate all sugar and you disobey me, whose fault is it? So I tell you to make small substitutions. Instead of using conventional sugar, you use organic sugar. Instead of using conventional salt, you use organic salt, and there are reasons for that, which I explain in a different video and a lot more in the program. But even that change tends to prove more difficult than it looks. And so this brings us to the answer of why I allow supplements. Um, I don't recommend them, but if you are used to taking supplements and your body and your lifestyle depends on them, it's going to be very difficult to exclude them, and it's going to take a lot of change before you get there. So to get you through that, I say, okay, let's take supplements if that's how people are used to function, if that's how your lifestyle works. And same as with salt and sugar, I just recommend very wise substitutions, in which I'm going to explain it here. But so who's busted here?
I guess we are, Laura.
Yeah, I must admit. I mean, so can you tell us more about supplements then? Uh, have we talked have we talked you into going a bit into more depth on the subject?
Yes, please. We really want to know. I mean, if you agree that we are going to keep taking them, it's only fair if we know enough to make informed decisions here.
Yes, and so that I think that's what your question warrants is let's dig deep, and same as we've done with salt and sugar, let's talk about supplements. So do you take any supplements, Caroline?
Yep, I actually take vitamin C.
That's a very good one. That's a very common supplement. I think a lot of people do that. There is nothing weird about it. So I don't have to explain what vitamin C is and what it does. So that's a very good one. And so why do you take it?
I don't know if I can explain it, but I guess because it's good for you.
And I take it also. Doesn't vitamin C improve your immunity and help you fight colds?
That's warmer. Usually, what Caroline said is a more common response that I get when I ask the question of why do you take supplements? Well, isn't it good for you? Um, and so that's kind of the mentality and the approach that I also try to help people battle. Because think about this way, if you heard that somebody had a bad headache and they took Tylenol and it helped, the headache went away. So Tylenol was a real lifesaver, right? So does that mean that you need to take Tylenol? You may not have a headache. Would it be still good for you when you don't have a headache? Obviously not. But that's not how our mind works when it comes to supplements. Because if somebody took a supplement and they're reporting, hey, I felt such a relief from what? Are you in the same position? If you are, then definitely yes. But if your body doesn't need a particular supplement just because somebody says it did wonders for them, that is definitely not the reason to start taking supplement. However, a lot of people don't go through that train of thought. Some people do, but a lot of people don't, and this is why I'm bringing it up. So when you take supplements, first think in the terms of does my body need it, whatever supplement maybe. So, Laura, what makes you think that you need vitamin C? Did you get tested and saw that you were deficient in vitamin C? Um,
No, I never got tested for that deficiency. I guess I simply was thinking that this is something that may help.
And what are you looking for it to help you with?
Well, like I said earlier, vitamin C helps strengthen immunity, and I do tend to get lots of colds frequently.
Well, that's good logic, at least it's depending on what your body may need. But let me ask you this. How long ago have you started taking vitamin C regularly, as in every day?
Oh, about 5 years ago, I think.
Okay, and as compared to 5 years ago, have your colds become less frequent? And the reason I'm asking is because you just said that you tend to get colds frequently. So do you still tend to get colds frequently, or are they less frequent now that you've been taking vitamin C?
I cannot say that they became less frequent, actually, but I think they could potentially be worse without vitamin C.
Okay, possibly. But again, so you guys who are watching, kind of look at the train of thought here. How many of you actually monitor your bodily responses, so to say? So what you're trying to fix and take supplement for, is it really doing something, or do you really know? Or you just assume it does. So again, the logic here is correct. Hey, if I get frequent colds, I need to strengthen my immunity. That's what vitamin C does. So that definitely is the right logic. That's great. But step number two, what I want to call to your attention is monitor your symptoms. Does it really help? Um, are you getting somewhere with this? So as you continue to take supplements in this program, whatever you do, whether it's for sleep, whether it's for immunity, whether it's some other supplement for weight loss that comes into the picture, I want you to think in terms of, do I really need it, and has it done anything for me so far? Now let's transition to my approach, to where like I say, in grand scheme of things, in an ideal world and an ideal version of the program and the approach, um, I don't recommend taking supplements. I recommend adjusting the diet and possibly taking, um, herbal preparations, as in teas and oxymels, because they deliver nutrients better. But that's kind of the subject for a different discussion, because it's still a supplement, technically, just in a different form. So when your body is really off track and they needs more help than just regular diet, you haven't changed your diet enough, so you need an extra oomph, then I recommend those. And like I said, the form in which they come, as in tinctures and herbal teas, I feel is a better way for your body to receive it, but we're not going to discuss this today. We're going to discuss the difference between powdered supplements and oxymels in a different video. So today, let's just focus on conventional supplements, continuing the discussion that we started, and to answer your questions of how do you select them properly, and the diet change. So talking about diet change. So Laura, you take vitamin C because you feel vitamin C would help your body get stronger immunity. And so you take a particular supplement and you put it in your body. What would be wrong with a glass of orange juice in the morning instead?
Well, I never thought about this actually, but now that you bring this up, it just sounds like a lot of work. I don't think I have time to do juicing in the morning. I have a full-time job.
Yeah, well, so do I. Okay, we'll get to that. But so let's take a look at supplements and what's available there. vitamin C. So let's put this discussion about diet change on hold for a few minutes. And before I run out of time, I want to answer you guys' question about what supplements I recommend and why I recommend them and the logic behind it. So the first one I'm going to pull up here is vitamin C by Amway. Let me share my screen. Okay, so what I pulled up here is vitamin C from Amway. And Amway, usually when we hear the name, people, swear by them because it's a multi-level marketing company. So based on the logic, hey, if you take it and it's great for you, then you can recommend it to your friends. And say, well, maybe they recommend it because they make a lot of money. So, but again, let's not get sidetracked here. So that's considered to be one of the superior vitamins. That's what I'm trying to say here. Look at the price here. 54 bucks for how many milligrams? One tablet once a day, 180 tablets doesn't tell us how much. So let's look at their ingredients. This is the keyword. Whenever I talk about supplements or food in general, anything, always look at the ingredients. Always look at the ingredients. I don't care what it is. I don't care what they tell you it does. That's kind of the underlying truth of what's in it. Not your opinion of how good it is for you, what's in it. So ingredients, vitamin C, 500 milligrams, cherry powder. Well, that's great. That's, cherries are full. Acerola cherry. I'm not exactly familiar with this particular strain of cherry, but at least it's more like, on the wild crafted side, sounds like. Bioflavonoids complex, grapefruit, mandarin, lemon. Yeah, that's great. So all this would add up to, because that's where it's extracted from, right? So those obviously are great. We've been talking about bioflavonoids. They actually kill belly fat on contact. But again, that's another video. So that sounds great. My concern is when it comes to those kind of supplements is those other ingredients here. And we have microcrystalline cellulose. Well, cellulose is plant fiber, so okay. Magnesium stearate, silicon. Silicon is Silicon Valley. It's a rock. Basically, you've probably heard of silicone hawking. I don't know. Anyway, so but none of them here jumps out at me as something that's going to kill you. My point being, and I'll explain this as we go along, is our metabolism is a recipe. And if you've ever tried to make a new recipe when you're cooking and it calls for one thing and you don't have it, and you grab something that you think is very similar, as many of us have experienced, oftentimes the recipe will flop over one little substitution. So when our body runs this very complex system and we start adding things or making substitution, our risk for failure goes skyrocket because it's a complex recipe, complex system. We start making substitutions, we don't know what's going to result. And what often results is, unfortunately, weight gain and other problems. So we need to be very careful as we make the substitutions. So, but as far as that Amway vitamin for 54 bucks, we're getting the cherry and the bioflavonoids, okay, and we're not getting anything that is a serious poison that I can pull up for you. It's just the extra ingredients in the recipe that may still screw it up. So let's look at the next one, and it's Walgreens that I just pulled up. I'm going to share my screen again. So this is, can you see it? Vitamin C from Walgreens. Yes, 1,000 milligrams. What were we looking at, Amway? That was 500 milligrams for $54, and now we have 1,000 milligrams for $10.99. So, which one is better? Which one would you buy, right? So here with natural rose hips. Ooh, bioflavonoids, rose hips. Sounds awesome, right? So let's take a look at the ingredients. Ascorbic acid is vitamin C. Same thing, oops. Well, microcrystalline. Hard to pronounce. Anything that's hard to pronounce is probably not something natural that your body would have hard time processing as well in other ways. But contains 2% or less of the following. And you can read it yourself. Carnauba wax, magnesium stearate, polyethylene glycol, rose hips. Silica, again, is same silicone, it's sand, basically. Sodium chloride, we had a whole video on sodium chloride, which is salt, which a lot of people are trying to avoid and eat less, and here you take it in a supplement. Amazing. Amazing. Just take a pill of salt and try to avoid chips. Brilliant. Only a pharmaceutical company. And because why? I mean, why would you put silica, which is sand? Why would you put salt in there? Because the pill is bigger. Because that's how you sell 180 pills or whatever is in it for $10.99. Because you add all the other things in there and it goes a lot further. And it's a lot cheaper to add sand and salt than actual extract from an orange. So that's why it's being done. But so we saw this rose hips that probably helped made the sale, contains 2% or less of magnesium stearate, rose hips, silica, sodium chloride. So why not sell it as vitamin C with carnauba wax? I mean, why not? Same thing, less than 2%. Or, magnesium stearate for all, things like that. That's not what's on the label, although, probably could have, should have been. Same difference. So do you guys see how it's marketing, vitamin C with rose hips? In the Amway version, we at least saw that there were actual extracts and they were like 35 milligrams, 125 milligrams. Here it's whatchamacallit, whatever those ingredients were. Actually, let's go back to that. Let's go back to that. Let me share my screen again and take another look at the ingredients because those are, same kind of harmless. What I want to call your attention to here is this crospovidone, and it says may contain. Well, I mean, what do you mean may contain it? I mean, your tuna fish may be made in a facility where they also process shellfish. So potentially it could have potentially come in contact, or, same facility that, whatever chips makes peanuts. So if you have an allergy, consider that may have come in contact. So are they trying to tell us that as a pharmaceutical company, their vitamin is made in a facility where it may come in contact with other pharmaceutical ingredients. Like you mix cyanide on this counter and then you mix vitamin C, and it could potentially have gotten contaminated. I mean, that's how you make your drugs. What do you mean may contain? I mean, it's not sterile? I mean, that's a concern in itself. And I think it's another marketing ploy to say it does contain cross. It does. We just don't want to tell you. So what is cross? Crosspovidone is a polymer that is used as a disintegrant in pharmaceutical tablets. So disintegrant is something that helps things disintegrate, fall apart quicker. So now when we're talking about the recipe of metabolism, then now we're actually changing the bodily reactions that occur in our bodies. And it can potentially embolize the lung when injected intravenously. Well, we're not injecting it intravenously, but for some reason they feel the need to tell us it can embolize the lungs. So what is an embolism? That, by the way, is a good way you guys can do your own research when it comes to the ingredients that you don't know. So it tells you it can do something and you don't know what exactly that something is. Look it up. Embolism, pulmonary, that has to do with the lungs. It just tells you how to pronounce, and obstruction of an artery, typically by a clot of blood or an air bubble. And pulmonary embolism is a condition in which one or more arteries in the lungs become blocked by a blood clot. Amazing. And you take this as a supplement. And then you wonder why our arteries are clogged. And they will tell us, oh, gee, just don't eat fat. How about don't take vitamin C? Isn't that what blocks the arteries? That's what it tells you. So yeah, definitely not a good idea. So let's see what else. Let's look at the ingredients again. I want to show you at least a couple examples of what's in your supplements. And if I were to go through all of them, we'd be here all day. I'm trying to keep it, more or less. But let's so that may contain crosspoint, so don't get scared yet. It probably does, but it may. So let's look again at the main ingredient list that does contain microcrystalline cellulose. Again, cellulose is plant fiber, except it's been broken down to microcrystal particles. So it's like a piece of glass. You swallow it whole, it'll probably go to your stomach and come out. You crush it into fine powder, it's liable to cut you by those little crystals. So when I see microcrystalline cellulose, I don't think so much of a plant fiber, which is cellulose, but of them little crystals that it's broken into. Again, think of metabolism as a formula. So another version of cellulose, cross caramelose sodium. Let's see what that is. It's widely used as an additive, so it doesn't tell you much here as a description. So in fact, I have I have done some research on caramelose sodium for that exact reason that they don't tell you much and they don't like you. or they don't like to, I should say. So let me show my screen here again, and we'll look at screenshots that I saved about that. Cross caramelose sodium, you can see it right here. We're not going to look up the study. It has caused many allergic reactions, and it's still being approved. So that's why they don't want to tell us a lot, because it has caused many allergic reactions. What is cross caramelose sodium? It comes from wood pulp or cotton fibers. I guess that's not so scary. Contains no sugar. I guess that's even better. It's a super disintegrating agent. So again, think about a recipe. So now you take something and you make it super disintegrating. So it helps things super disintegrate. So think about it in terms of weight loss. So if you eat a piece of fat, and let's say, not fat, I'm definitely simplifying things here, but you eat a piece of something that your body is made to take some nutrients out of and then take the rest. What does it do with the rest? When our body takes in food and it takes out nutrients in the stomach to help our body run, what does it do with the rest? You guys know? It goes through your digestive tract and it goes into the toilet as a turd. So what our body doesn't take, it throws out in the toilet. So now it becomes super disintegrating. So instead of going into the toilet, it's disintegrated and goes everywhere else. So instead of throwing it out, it goes into our body. And that's how we build up fat, and that's why we get bigger, because it's not supposed to be there. It was supposed to be in the toilet. This is a picture of our metabolism that I want to emphasize again. This is actually from a study. This is an actual diagram. It's just in simplified form, but this is the chain of reactions that take place in our body when we eat something. Those are different cell functions, reactions, interactions that everything that we eat goes through to make for our metabolism. And what you're telling me is that you change, some of these parts, and then you're going to end up with the same thing. That is not what is going to happen. So cross-caramelose sodium has been used widely in multiple pharmaceuticals and supplements because of its ability to expand up to 20 times. Beautiful. So it doesn't only disintegrate and goes into our body, it also expands up to 20 times. And then we wonder why we and our bodies expand up to 20 times. And so it's water loving. And again, I have another video on water retention. That's another story. Most of our weight is not so much fat as fat logged with water. And that's what creates the volume. That's what creates the look that we don't like. So let's see. Well, that kind of tells you what it does. That's an interesting case study. In 2010, one woman was taken to the hospital for pulmonary edema. We've heard about that, right? Pulmonary edema, but that was another, was cross-povidone, but apparently this one does too. Congestive heart failure and extremely high blood pressure. Upon investigation, doctors discovered that she was experiencing an allergic reaction to cross-caramelose sodium. And apparently that's a harmless ingredient, right? So why do they use it? Because and you can come back. I'm not going to read this, but you come back and rewatch the video. You can read all those in peace. Just pause it there. Basically, the reason they use it is, again, the drug goes a lot further. It's cheaper to do this. premature absorption causes the medication to be broken down because it's a super disintegrant and released into the stomach instead of the intestines. And I submit that so does everything else. Besides the medicine, but that's what they add to vitamin C to supposedly help it absorb better. This could either make the drug stronger or weaker, depending on the drug rate of absorption. So your vitamin C does not even necessarily absorb faster, as they claim. It could absorb slower, but it helps it go further because it's 20 times as big. So why do I not recommend taking supplements with those additives? Should be obvious by now. Let's take a quick look at one more. So this is ecological formulas, 15, we went from 54 down to 10, now we're at 15. Let's take a look at the ingredients here. Oh, I hate one. Okay, there we go. Magnesium stearate gelatin. Okay, we'll know what gelatin is, that's definitely food. And it's got magnesium stearate and nothing else. Well, that's good news, I have to say. So thing about magnesium stearate is that, again, that's not something that occurs naturally. When you look it up, it's going to tell you, yeah, stearic acid occurs naturally. That's another plot by pharmaceutical companies. I was going to show you screenshots. I'm not going to because I'm trying to move this along. So you can do your own research. Just look up and see, magnesium stearate. A lot of companies, places will claim that it's natural on Google, but they start suddenly talking about stearic acid. So if you look up, does magnesium stearate occur naturally? And your answer is going to be no, it does not. So don't read the first thing that Google tells you. Always dig a little bit deeper with your research. So that's your supplements. That's what you're putting in your body. So let's get back to that glass of orange juice. And a lot of people would say that, well, gee, just drinking a glass of orange juice is not as good as vitamin C, taking vitamin C. Why? Because there's this picture, I need to be juicing oranges and peeling oranges and, going through that, and I don't have time. Well, I mean, they sell orange juice like in bottles that you could put in a refrigerator and take it out. And, what's the difference? You open the package, take a pill, glass of orange juice. What's the time difference if you buy a bottle of orange juice? Because people tell me, well, there is not enough vitamin C in those kind of, bottles of orange juice. So let's look it up real quick. Let's see how much vitamin C is in a glass of orange juice. So I've typed into Google how much vitamin C is in a glass of orange juice. Do you guys see that in the screen visible? It's 43 milligrams. Well, gee, we were just looking at what supplements, 1,000 milligrams. Well, gee, 43 is nothing. Obviously, there is not enough. But let's add, let's do vitamin C. Let's how much can go. Vitamin C, a glass of orange juice, recommended daily allowance. And it's even a popular search because, yeah, that's a good question to ask. A recommended daily allowance is what? Recommended daily allowance is what your body needs in terms of the amount of vitamin C. That's why it's recommended and that's why it's daily. allowance. If your allowance for the day is $20, then that's, and if it's recommended, then your parents think that that's how much money you need the day, right? That's what allowance is. So let's use this search, and we can put it here. I mean, it doesn't matter. Oops. So vitamin C, 137% in vitamin C in a glass of orange juice. So we're taking a glass of orange juice. And what is the percentage of recommended daily allowance? 137%. Think about this. If 100% is 100% of what you need, then 137% is 37% more than what your body needs. Think it through. You need 100%. If you're 100% on track, you're 100%, 100%. 137% is a little bit more. So why would you tell me that 100 or that a glass of orange juice is not enough? It is enough. My question would be, why in the wide world would you need 1,000 milligrams? Think about that picture of metabolism that I showed you. If your recipe calls for a cup of sugar, which is a cup, which is 100% of what the recipe needs in terms of sugar, why would you put the whole package of there and think it's going to be better? That's what you're doing to the recipe of metabolism when you do those things. Another thing that I'd like to bring up to your attention, and we have other videos and other articles, I'm actually going to leave you a link for the article, is the difference between organic juice and conventional juice, and the way that agriculture is done. So let's take a look. I'm going to show this you real quickly. If you buy, that's by the way, are the bottles. What I've put in here, organic juice, how many milligrams of vitamin C, which is not showing here. Yeah, vitamin C right here. Those are the bottles easily look, put in the refrigerator that I was talking about. But organic juice has 125 milligrams of vitamin C. So that's why we are using all the organic ingredients in the program. Keep this in mind, please, because we had 43, it's 125. So if you don't think the regular is enough, organic definitely covers it. So let's talk about the hassle of taking of orange juice real quick. So Laura, do you take your vitamin C as a pill?
No, actually, it's in a powdered form. I heard it absorbs better that way.
All right, that's even better, by the way, that you take it in a powdered form. Because as far as juicing goes, you can do that. In terms of time, so you take your powder, right? You put it in a glass of water. You stir it. Well, you got to open the package first. You put it in a glass of water. You stir it. You drink it. So I would say by the time you open the package, pour it in, stir it, about a couple minutes. To make orange juice, even if you weren't to use a bottle, you're using your own, you cut orange in 4/4. You put it in the thing, you push the button, it comes out.
Wait, you don't need to like peel the orange first?
No, you actually don't if you have the right juicer. So what I'm trying to say is that the difference between opening a package and stirring it up and quartering that orange and sticking it in the juicer is probably, I would give it 2 minutes at max. So, Laura, do you think that losing 45 pounds in 45 weeks and avoiding that congestive heart failure that we saw the potential of when we were talking about supplements, would it be worth the extra minutes or the extra 2 minutes of your routine change?
Well, yeah, I must admit, I needed to hear this actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can squeeze in the 2 minutes extra for your health, I'd say you're packing your schedule a little bit way too tight. But let's conclude this by taking a look at a powdered vitamin C, because what did I promise you guys is that I will allow you to take some supplements. Um, Laura takes here powdered supplement. Well, I don't know which you take, Laura, but that's the powdered supplement that I recommend in the program when I say, okay, let's make an exception for routine change for those of you who can't squeeze the extra 2 minutes. And mind you, I'm not even asking you to juice the orange, even though it's best. You can just put a bottle in the refrigerator and do it that way. That's okay as well. So if you insist on taking supplements because 2 minutes is too much of a change of the routine, let's look at the ingredients here. Come on, zoom, baby. Oh, okay, so number one here is a thousand, over 1,000% of daily value. If you feel that that's what you need to jumpstart your immunity, more power to you. Thankfully, vitamin C gets eliminated from your body if your body doesn't need it, and jumpstart for immunity is often helpful. And so do we have here vitamin C, ascorbic acid, other ingredients? None, none, none of that, what we've talked about. So if you were to take a supplement, this is definitely the supplement that I would recommend taking because of no other ingredients, because it's powdered and you don't have to take, I mean, pill is pretty hard to cut in half. Scoop is a lot easier. So if you don't feel you need the whole 1,000 now, you can cut it down. If you feel like, oh, gee, I'm catching a cold, I need a boost, there it is for you. So this is the story on supplements. Thank you, ladies. I appreciate your participation. I'm going to stop the recording here. If you have any questions, comments, please do weigh in and we will continue this discussion. Thank you again.